Welcome to the dojo. I hope you are all well. My name is Carmen. We have Sean, Ray, and Nathmar here. Once again, we are back this week. We had plans. I think all those plans after this weekend went absolutely insane, but we're going to move through our rundown, and hopefully you guys like what we have to report. Once again, if you want us to talk about things next week, because we will be back next Sunday, you can either jump onto the website, jump onto the Facebook page, NFT Marketplace and Dojo, or just leave us a comment here and we will get to it next week. All right, so first things first, we had an AMA on January 7th. Are we satisfied? Are we not satisfied? Sean, we're going to start with you.
I think most people would say they were unsatisfied. I always try to err on the glass half full side, as most people I talked to that said that they've been involved with like MTL licensing or any of that stuff, they said it's like a super extensive pain in the ass process for people that try to do it globally. So in that sense, I mean, I understand that it's going to take a long time, but on the other hand, they did say some stuff and, they kind of shot themselves in the foot. So I'm still positive, prices are positive. Our group that we're involved with is positive.
In what way do you think they shot themselves in the foot?
I feel like they made too many statements before they were even 3/4 of the way done with certain things they were working on. They were like, we're going to release this in whatever quarter. Like back in Q2 of 2021, they made all sorts of statements. And then, they found out very quickly that MTL was a pain in the ass. And, the people I talked to, they're like, oh, yeah, it can take 1 to 3 years. And I was just like, dang. I was just like, why'd they say that in March then? So they could have just not said anything and said it's going to be an extensive process and hang with us, because I believe in the team. It's a great team. From everything I've looked into, I'm not like the genius on the whole thing, but from all the research I've done, they seem like a strong team.
Interesting. All right. Nathmar, what do you think?
I was definitely disappointed, but mostly from the MTL perspective. So, I would have liked to at least heard some sort of key update, like say, hey, we tested with a pilot group of 10 people. There's 1 or 2 items that were working, something more specific, but that would have at least given us an idea that, hey, they are progressing with their testing, etc. So instead, we got a lot of red flags, right? Like them saying that, hey, some countries won't have MTL. Oh, man. So I feel bad for a couple of countries that are possibly on that list. So that's a red flag. So, I'm assuming for us in the US, it's not as bad. So I think we're covered. But I definitely would have liked to have heard them say, hey, it's looking good. We're targeting the next phase of the rollout, something to that effect. So, but I'm in IT because I do rollouts all the time. So we usually have a plan and we usually try to communicate any type of rollouts to our internal users or key people so that everybody's up to date. But other than that, other than that, I am a glass half full guy too. I really like them saying that they're working on a showroom for comic books. So I think that's gonna be awesome. If they make some sort of shelving that's really cool and display, so something that we can show off our comic books, to fellow collectors. I think that's gonna be a great feature. So I'm kind of excited, from that perspective.
Nice. Ray, what about you?
So I won't belabor the point. MTL, big disappointment, right? I was hoping for something more concrete, but we just heard that the lawyers are taking off for the holidays, right? That's the best we got there.
One other lawyers.
Thing, yeah, I know, damn them. But the other thing we didn't really hear about that I am interested. So MTL being fiat and gems and that conversion. What about the OMI conversion? When's that going to happen? Gems to OMI is the other way out for a lot of these, maybe the region locked countries. We don't know when that's going to happen because they keep referring to MTL specifically as a fiat conversion for whatever your local currency is. So I would like to hear a little bit more of the timeline there. I will talk positives. I think there's some good stuff there, right? The growth stuff they brought at the very beginning, talking about 2021, right? Like they have 30 some people on the team from 4 at the beginning of the year. I mean, that's a big improvement, right? And they can keep hiring at that rate and keep trying to increase the development team, which if they're getting the amount of money that they say they are, 3 million NFT editions minted, all of the active users. Now, whether or not that's the same people making multiple accounts, we don't know. But I think that the growth was a big positive for me. The bots, I think they're going to talk about that every time. There's not a whole lot to say there, right? They're going to say we're doing a great job. Everyone that doesn't get drops is going to say you're doing a terrible job, and life will continue to plow forward on the secondary marketplace. So, not a big piece there. But then I think some of the fun stuff they mentioned, like we're expecting more. I'd be interested to see how the one-of-one artist alley drops work. Good Lord, that's going to be if we just see kind of what's happening with like the 1,000 minted comic book being 2.3K. I mean, what are these paintings realistically going to go for? I mean, that's going to be nuts. We got new vehicles coming in 2022. Pumped for the achievement badges and stuff that they were saying are going to be coming out with MCP. But again, we didn't hear a lot about MCP this time, and that was, I think, the last drawback that I had from it. Is I would have liked to have seen, well, hey, where are we at in that step of the process, right? IMX, I feel pretty good. Hey, here's where we're at. They're minted into January, but I think the last thing I'll say is apparently towards the end, and I missed it, but they mentioned DC Comics coming in 2022, which would
Yeah,
be
I missed that too.
I tried to go back. They don't have it up on the Twitter sphere anymore, so that's a bit of a bummer. But I've seen multiple other recaps say and confirm that they said DC Comics are coming. Like other YouTube channels said they are. People that recapped it on Reddit and some Telegram said DC Comics are coming. I mean, that's a whole new bag of apples right there because there's a lot of that's going to be cool.
Yeah. Bringing in some Golden Age goodness would be great. I mean, that would be great for the app. Bringing in like the Golden Age big dogs, that'd be nuts.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. I don't know where Palm fits in with that, right? Because they've got that.
I don't know.
But it is what it is. Here's full disclosure. I am in a lot of ways a stereotypical Philadelphia, Southern New Jersey pessimist hater on most things. Like I am just, most things I find something to complain about, and I'm like, yeah, but what about whatever? But I am actually not too upset about any of the things that we got from the AMA. I'm very optimistic for a couple of different reasons, especially because the more I think about MTL, I'm in this for 5 years, right? Like, and I think we've all talked about this. So I don't need an MTL answer by the summer. And more importantly, I think anybody who's worried about the whales or whatever coming in and bringing in new money and all this other stuff, I think it shows, at least for me, that the team is more concerned with building a community that is really invested in the products that they're making. And I think when you win that and you have that community established, everything else will follow. And we've talked about it earlier, those early days of Facebook, 2004, 2005, I'm at Rutgers University and, we're poking people and there are sneaker collections and there's all this weird, awful interface with that OG Facebook thing. And no one knew what it was going to become. So I think it's just more of that. Like, I really genuinely believe we are on the ground floor of Facebook in 2004. And we kind of just have to embrace that for what it is. And just, you said this, Sean, you love the team. The team has, we think, what it takes. So we just kind of have to trust that they're going to give us what Facebook is now, right? Or what social media is now. That's on its way. I was really, really excited about things like driving the DeLorean. I think that explains, and this will get to our picks, but that'll explain the 3x explosion of the DeLorean in the last week. I think I'm a little upset that I don't have more answers about those sorts of things. Like if I can rent the DeLorean and drive, or can I rent the DeLorean? What does that driving experience look like? What does that mean for Ecto 1? Will I not be able to drive the static DeLorean, even if it's full size? Are there other things that I'll be able to sort of manipulate? What does that look like? The MCP kind of bummed me out. I wish I because I'm a game, like I like the gamification of this thing. I'm kind of upset that I don't have answers and I don't have my MCP points yet. I'm gonna just establish the fact that this is Facebook and I'll wait for it, But I would like those badges and those things. And then finally, everybody who's worried about these bots, I get it, as am I, but we just have so many users now too. Like, I don't know how much better someone's chances are going to be at getting certain things if all the bots went away because of the sheer volume of people that are using the app. And let's be real, I think there are plenty of good buys on the marketplace too. Like, we're going to talk about that today. There are plenty of things that you can buy right now on the open marketplace that are better deals than the drops that are going to come in the future. Remember, Storm dropped at what, 50 or 60? And she just now got to that threshold. So, when she was 35, no one was like, all those bot people really have nothing to say. You could have picked her up at a discount, really. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, they could have spent 1K and turned it into 5K. And then they would have had nothing to say about it because they could have went and bought a McBats and then they could have had 10K, but instead most people just focus on the negative aspects,
Yep. I see the bot thing in some cases as a blessing in disguise. I really do. The Voltron stuff, the Storm stuff, and the comics are a different issue because that opening number is so low. Like, I don't think any comic's going to drop below $7 anymore. But I think any collectible that hits the market at like $60 to $100, I don't think the bots really matter all that much. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Any final thoughts about AMA?
For me, just one thing too, like, bots are in everything that make the highest profit margins. I mean, from shoes to any other collectible to
eBay
any other
auctions.
group that's doing NFTs. And even if you're doing stocks, I mean, this is going to sound weird, but there's big companies that use quantum computers and trade like bots really, really fast. And nobody's talking about that or crying about it. They're buying their stocks every day and worshipping them and being like, my S&P's 8% for decade over decade. And they've been using quantum computers and stock trading for years now. And it's just part of the game. Do you think the millionaires are complaining about that? No, they're trying to get their money.
Well, and the interesting part that they came up with, and I don't know if anyone's hit on this, they talked about the waiting room is going to be.
Yep.
They said what, end of the month, beginning of February, something. I don't remember what exact time. I don't have my notes in front of me, but I mean that's.
Yep.
What else are they going to want? You know what I mean? That sounds.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear how that reservation system works. So I think that could be our future topics, right? Because that's one way to review what's the best way to get into these into the drop system and make sure that we have our fair chance. So I think it should be interesting to see how that reservation system works.
Yeah, and the lottery tickets and all that.
Yeah.
Lottery tickets, yep.
Now, speaking of the marketplace and drops, I just said there are plenty of good deals right now. So I think all of us for this money well spent round 2, because people liked this last week. So I think this is probably going to be a weekly segment. I feel like we're pretty good at calling it, or at least so far, knock on wood, we haven't done a bad job, I'll say.
Hey, I did the math. Last week, the win goes to Nothmar only because of the percentage at which DC sells. Both Sean and Nothmar, if you total up at the peak, now I guess it's different because FF1.
I'm pointing at you, Sean.
Wonder Woman's down. The 3 big comics are up, so I had to rerun the math numbers. But well done, fellas. I was last because ASM collectible number 1 common decided not to move with everything else. But
ASM common just moved just right before this.
Oh,
call,
but
right?
the collectible common is still sitting, and I cheated to get to it too. That's really I feel upset now. But
I have a good feeling though, Ray. You will have the last laugh here.
Yeah.
So.
So we're gonna go with right now the market as is, as best as you can remember, because I've got my notes up. I'm not looking at the marketplace, but as best as you remember, let's go with best ways to spend $300. Ray, we're gonna start with you.
All right, I'm going to take the combo approach this time. I think you've got to try. What we've seen is the market is going to be popping up in a number of different collectibles, and you see it shift quickly. I think we've seen a lot of the lower tier collectibles starting to hit some peaks. I like the Robin #1. I think last I looked, it was like 119. So we've seen some growth there. I think that as a lot of the other black and whites continue with Joker and everyone flying up into 2, 3K, that's not attainable for the normal person. So everyone's gonna be looking at, well, what's the next best? I think Robin's really good. And then honestly, the last I checked, both UF4, Ultimate Fallout 4, and the Fantastic Four #5 comics have dropped back down into the low 70s. So I'm going to go with Robin, FF5, and a UF4 common as my pick for 300.
All right, nice.
That-
So we're going like a combo meal of these things. Okay.
That's it. My 1K
Number 5.
pick, my 1K pick is Elsa. Elsa's at 1K right now. I don't get it, guys. I really don't. Everything has absolutely exploded, but Disney golden moments have sat absolutely still. I think it's a great pick. If you had to twist my arm and you can't get that, probably maybe the Joe Madeira Batman, or possibly the Spider-Man Rare's looking pretty good. If you can catch it back down into the low 8s, solid. That's my picks this week.
Nice. Nothmar, what do you got?
Well, yeah, this is a tough one because things have changed since this morning, right? So I mean, I would definitely I like the Daredevil ones. I think they're still undervalued. I think those are gonna pop. So the commons, especially, if you see also Star Trek. So I loaded up on a few Star Trek. I think those have potential. There's a couple Borgs and Enterprise collectibles that are still 100 or less. So I picked up a few of those. I mean, those are the Spideys. Definitely, I picked up a few Spideys. The Spideys are the rares. I believe there's a couple of them. I think 300. They're hovering between 300, high 300s. But if we're saying 300, so it might be over, right? We should take that out. But I would say key comic books. You know, the ASM 14. I would definitely say that that's still a good pick. I would also say Iron Fist 14. That's still cheap. The Kate Bishop. Those are also cheap, and I think those have some upside. And I think we were messaging with Sean earlier. The Avengers. Some of the Avengers books might have some upside because they're still relatively undervalued. So I think they could probably potentially double, you know, in the next like 3 months or so, or maybe sooner. Every time I say 3 months, it goes up like, you know, in 2 weeks.
All
Yeah,
right,
or like
how
a
you
night-
getting to 300 though? How you getting to 300? Because we're coming back next week to the 300. We're gonna see who wins. How you getting there, Nothmore?
I would definitely pick up as much ASM 14s, X-Men 129s, and Daredevil ones. I think those are the top three, and the Star Treks.
All right.
All right, Sean, what do you got?
For me, for 300s, I would say that the last big dog character that I feel can carry franchises that hasn't really like blown up yet, where like a new person using the platform would be like, that's gross, I'm not paying that. I would say would be New Mutants 98. I mean,
Yeah.
all it takes is one cartoon appearance in like a big cartoon, or one mainstream media appearance in a movie or a TV show, or even just an announcement that Ryan Reynolds is going to rock the costume again. Like any of those things would send that book through the roof. It would triple, quadruple. I mean, the fact that it's at 20 right now and it was at 15 24 hours ago, I mean, that's a 25% increase, and I feel like there's still like hundreds of percent increases to be had on New Mutants 98. So like, I'm just maxing out. I'm getting, what is that, 15 of them? I'm getting 15 New Mutants 98s.
Nice. Where are you at on 1,000?
On 1,000, I'm getting, oh man, I would say with 1,000, I'm getting 2 of the ASM statues, and then I'd buy the rest I would probably get Storm Commons.
Nice. Yeah, that's where. So even for my $300 pick, I realize there's like you have two. Like when it comes to this, you play the game one of two ways, right? It's either I'm gonna get however many I can get, $300 worth of one thing, or I'm gonna sort of diversify. So immediately my brain, which I guess says a lot about me, goes like I would buy 5 Storm Common statues. Like she was at $35, I believe, last week when we talked about this. Now she's floating between 60. I just think it's a good move if she drops. So if she drops back down to 60, I think I told you guys, I sent pictures, like I'm all in on hoverboards. I think hoverboards are the Jordans of the future. Like anybody who likes wearing Jordans and who wants those old throwback exclusive shoes, if we can use hoverboards, I think these hoverboards will be the Jordans of the metaverse. People are like, yo, how did you get that Pitbull? That's dope. Like, where did you get that Marty hoverboard? So I would maybe mess around with a variation of those. You could just buy 5 of the no tech outright. And then the last thing would probably be those comics. Like I really like maybe just buy 3 UF4 uncommons. Or buy if Fantastic Four 1 drops back to 100, you might just want to grab 3 of those. I really like Iron Fist 14. I think that's super undervalued. I think it says that there aren't a lot of comic book people in the marketplace yet. I thought there was for a while, and now the fact that book is still at like $10 probably says a lot, because the minute anything Wolverine happens, that book is going to move, because it's just such that Sabretooth is such an important character in the Marvel universe. And I think because we just don't have an X-Men film, and it's just flying under the radar. Now, at the same time, if you don't want to be a psycho like me and go all in on one, you could do the mix and match, McDonald's dollar menu and swap in whatever you want to sort of get what you need. My $1,000 pick, Ray, I'm with you. I think Elsa is. I think Golden Moments in general. It hasn't moved, and I think it hasn't moved because everyone. It hasn't. I don't know, I'm trying to think the best way to say this, but people did what they had to do to get them. And I feel like it's always been way out there. So people have been buying the Wonder Womans and the Jokers and the Harley Quinns and the DeLorean and all these like $300 pieces that have now gone to like $1,200 to $1,500. And I think everyone's going to, some guy sent me a picture. He had like 30 Jokers like lined up in his showroom. And I'm just thinking like, oh, well, that guy now has 30,000 gems at his disposal. And I think the move might just be like, oh, well, if you just buy 30 Elsas, like what happens to that market? And then all of a sudden everything compounds. So I think anybody who's seen that 3, 4, 5x on those $200, $300, $400 buys, they've leapfrogged Elsa, and I think Golden Moments are going to come back around. That's just where I'm at on it.
I think that's a good point, though, right? I think maybe that is one factor why it kind of slowed down, because there's so many undervalued like options right now, right? You can buy Wonder Woman at $500. Why would you spend $2,000 for R2D2 when you know Wonder Woman could potentially hit 1,000 or even 2,000, right? So there's a lot of good stuff out there that can probably go up. That's you if your resources are limited, you can just focus on the ASM rare, which is $380 or something, right? Instead of paying $2K or $1K for Elsa, right? So I think there's a lot, because there's so much opportunities still available. That's probably a factor.
I feel like a lot of people fail to realize how many like stackers there are on the platform yet. I don't think people realize that like there's a lot of people buying like between 10 to 200 copies of stuff. And like that goes from comics to statues. Like I've seen dudes with 50 Wonder Womans lined up. I've seen dudes with 100 Walts, like literally 100 Walts. So those are off the market. Those aren't coming back on the market is what I'm trying to get at. That's the whole point of what I'm saying. Is
Not smart. Put those vaults back on the market.
Right, exactly. But like those edition counts that we see on the market, that's super deceiving. Like for sure, that is not what's available. Like
I need
a
MTL.
lot of these are off the market forever for like
Once
years.
MTL comes, you'll see some of them in the market. So for now, they're hiding.
I think so, and I think we will see some coming to the market. But I think there are institutional investors or people that are like copying how they invest, and they legitimately have decided already that they're going to hold.
Well,
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. And you know, it goes back to the comic book thing, right? Like as a comic book collector, I remember if I was going to spend $1,000, I bought, instead of buying $1,000 book, I bought all new Marvel 1.1, right? So I got that Miss Marvel. I bought Young Avengers. It was when they were all $300. Like all those books at one point in time were $300, and for like a 9.8. And I remember just buying 3 of those younger Avengers books, as opposed to dropping $1,000 on a different book. And I think that's what we're seeing now, you know, because of the upside.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start doing like $1,000 and $5,000 segment eventually with all these collectibles being ridiculous.
Agreed.
Won't it be nice to have that conversation? How do you want to spend $5,000? Well, yeah. I would like to, you know,
I would like one Fantastic Four one, please.
Yep,
it's gonna be crazy if it gets like that.
All right, so as best as you can remember, so for anybody who's watching, we will be weekly running a top 5 comics and top 5 collectibles piece on the website. We're going to spend about 12 minutes kind of sharing our thoughts on where we think it might go. We all have our own picks, and then after tonight, you know, we'll have that article published either tomorrow or the day after, and then you can sort of see it in stone. It'll be fun to track all of this stuff over the course of the next year as well. So real quick, Sean, we're just going to run it right back to you. Top.
Sorry, broke up there for a second.
Oh. So top 5 picks. What do you got?
Top 5 picks for collectibles? Top 5 picks for collectibles. I think I had. What did I have?
I got you, Sean.
You got Sean? Me? Yeah, I can't remember what I wrote down.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, so you have Superman, Wonder Woman, Storm, McBats, ASM.
Yep. That sounds right.
Nice, Ray. What do you got?
All right. So my top 5 for the collectibles. First was McBats. Second, Spider-Man UR. Third was the Joker. Top of my head, what's the one that's 1.2K right about now? Jim Lee.
The Jim Lee's 1.2K now?
Oh, yeah, man. Something like that. Yeah. And then fourth was Secret Rare Spider-Man. And then fifth is Wonder Woman for collectibles. And then the quick defense of the Secret Rare Spider-Man is we actually got a couple confirmed sales in the Facebook group for 50K. I mean, that's bonkers, right? And so again, like everyone says that, you know, there's some value in diversification, but for me, I took a lot of those books, put it into a McBats at like 3.6. Thought I was crazy. Thought I'd lose it all, whatever it is. But now it's sitting at, I think, 8.4 last I checked. And so, I mean, that's almost 300% growth off of just one Grail, you know. And so that's I don't know. I think Spider-Man Secret Rare kind of took off this week, and I think it's a good sign of some of the top-end growth for Veve.
Nice. Nothmar, what are you thinking?
I mean, for me, I'm targeting I'm trying to beef up my my low mints collection. So I'm focusing definitely trying to see. You have to. I mean, I kind of loaded on the volume now, right? I think volume I got covered. So now I'm trying to go for low mint. So I mean, Daredevil low mints. I'm trying to see if I can get anything under the 1,000 mints. You know, I'm trying to look for deals. Ultimate Fallout deals. I mean, the big grails, forget it. It's impossible. There's no more deals there. But Ultimate Fallout, Daredevil, Ultimate Fallout rare, I loaded up on that one. I'm debating picking up another two more because I think that's still a good deal. Um, ASM, the cheapest collectible Spider-Man, which is I think it's the uncommon. I think that's like the high 300s. So I picked up a few more of that one. So and I think I'll probably still try to look into adding some more of that. Um, and then same thing, just low mints of some of the more affordable keys of ASM 14 and X-Men 129. So I'm trying to load up on and IR Fist 14. So low mints.
You'll be happy to know, I think, that the uncommon Spider-Man has moved into the fours, I believe.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think it cracked it. I think it was like 415. I think the uncommon and the common are now sort of neck and neck.
But
So
I still think that is way undervalued still. I think that can hit 1K in the next 6 months.
Oh, I think that common ASM statue, I think that thing's gonna blow up.
Do you think it's the common or the uncommon that hits it, right? Because now we started seeing rarity pick back up in importance. For a while there, we had that minute where like common everything just it almost caught up to rare. But now we've had the shift. Rarity's starting to matter again. Even in the comic books, we're seeing it. So collectible wise, are you seeing? You think an ASM uncommon or common has the highest?
For me, that's the one that's going to be an exception to the rule for me because it's the literal icon of the whole company.
It's true. Yeah.
So like I feel like that's going to play out eventually, graphic design wise and user experience wise. People are going to have that in their memory.
You're talking about the Spider-Man?
Yeah, the collectible.
Yeah, I mean you have to track both of them and see which one. For me, I'm a bottom feeder, right? So I like the best deal that I can get, right? So if I see common is so much cheaper, I'll go for it. But if I see, oh shoot, common is $300, uncommon is 300, I'm going for the uncommon, right? So you kind of gotta see how far apart they are. If uncommon is way up, forget it, go for the common. If they're neck to neck, I would go for the rarer one, right? So
I think that served you well. I don't think there's any reason not to think like that.
Yeah,
and they're both going to skyrocket. I think. I mean, it's first appearance of Spider-Man. It doesn't matter which one you get.
I agree. I just genuinely, the uncommon was the first NFT that I bought, and I just think it's just cooler. Like the fact that it can be used to photobomb, it's very interactive. The peace sign, when you can now do selfies with these things and have him sort of behind you. I just feel like the common is not very interactive, but who knows? I mean, anymore, it's one of those things where buy what you like, but if you're trying to make money, that is not always the best case.
exactly.
Rarity seems to be really taking off.
Yeah, that's the only thing for me because I like getting the deals that like I hold off on the SR and the UR for Spidey, and those are the ones that exploded, right? So sometimes you gotta go in and like take the bullet, right?
Yeah, so my top 5 for collectibles, that Todd, man, like Ray, good for you, brother. Like pulling the trigger, and it was last week, right? Like I think it was.
That's my one chance.
Like, let's be real. I'm looking at some of this stuff, and I'm like, I feel like it was a year ago, and it's not, right? Like it's a week ago, and that is dropped. The other thing that I am, did you guys hear my audio though?
You froze a little bit. It was a sick frame though.
Sorry. Nice. So I think the McBats is just the move. It's just so impressive. I hate it. Like I don't like the way it looks. I don't like Batman 423. Come on. And it's the move. Like a game recognized game. It's great. I think anybody who's getting in and they're like, I have a boatload of money that I want to dump, I would just buy that. I think the McBats is the move. Next one for me was Wonder Woman. We were talking about it. There were haters on that too, and it was 250, and everyone was talking.
Oh man, should have pulled the trigger more in the hunt when it was hundreds.
I know. I feel so bad. Oh my goodness.
I really thought it was gonna go like under 100 first, then I was gonna probably buy like 5 of them, but then I got a few like low hundreds, and then it shot up to like 300. I was like, I guess I missed that.
Yeah, I just have my one,
Yeah.
1,000 whatever mint, and then like, which is nice, but like, I wish I would have bought like 2 or 3.
I bought
Yeah.
3, but I mean, I use them. Here's the thing: like, I use them at different times for.
Trades.
I bought 1 and then bought 2 Harley Quinns, and then so I kind of reinvested them into my collection. So I can't really complain too much about not having 3 anymore because I bought like a Joker and that, you know what I mean? Like these things have all appreciated. So number 3 for me is that DeLorean. That UR DeLorean has exploded, and I think the UR DeLorean and probably the UR Ecto 1, if you can drive it. I think those are going to become like 2K, 3K collectibles. There are a lot of UR DeLoreans, and there's like 12,000 of them, but it's just going to be thanks to Ready Player One, it's just going to be the car. And then I've got the Jim Lee Joker that I was hot on for a while and has really moved. And then Harley Quinn has jumped up. She kind of floats in my top 5 because I don't know if she has like the cultural staying power of the other collectibles, but that's where I am. Where are we on comics? Nothmar, you gave us some comics. Top 5 comics. Sean, what do you think?
You want to read my list again for me? I don't have that paper on me. I think you're muted.
Gotcha. All right, locked in.
Let's see.
I mean, I think you got MC1 at number 1, Fantastic Four number 1, second, Ultimate Fallout 4, Common, Uncommon at 3, the ASM 1 Common at 4, and then Avengers 8 Kang Common at number 5. Huh.
Yeah, I think all these low edition counts and rarity, like you guys are saying, like I was resisting it initially, and like I was Common Gang for a long time, like I was doing that stuff before like most people were doing it, but like it feels like those comics that have lower mintage, that have like 10K and 1K, that's going to play out. I think that's going to matter, and I think the NFT comics are going to start separating themselves from physical real world comics and values, and we're going to see over this next year. Sure, the Silver Age keys will go up, but we're going to see books that aren't explainable to be in top 10s, be in the top 10s, like an Uncommon Ultimate Fallout 4. Like, that's wild. Like, if you bought a common Ultimate Fallout 4 and an uncommon Ultimate Fallout 4 2 months ago, just 60 days ago, you could have bought 2 4-digit mints for like $40. And like, it was like that recent, like 40 or $50. And now, I mean, that's hundreds of dollars. I mean, probably what, like $500 to get all the way down to like the 1Xs, like 5, 6, 7, $800 for the low ones, and then you start going down to 3 digits, and they're thousands of dollars now. The further down you go, I mean, that was 60 days ago. That's not even a whole quarter. Like, that's freaking insane. Like, I don't even know how to really like explain that to people, because most people are monitoring like the big stuff, but like there's side things happening right now, like low mintage and modern books, and like low count mintage like Kang, you know, like they're doing almost in their own way better than the Silver Age keys. I mean, the returns on Ultimate Fallout 4 crush the Silver Age keys from when I bought in. I mean, when I got in, the Silver Age keys were already like 30, 40, $50. And Ultimate Fallout 4 was 12 gems, 15 gems. I literally was like, what the hell is happening on this platform? I was like, if you were in a comic shop, people would be like, you're all crack smokers. So I was like, well, I'm going to buy all these. And sure enough, you know, Ultimate Fallout 4 has kept pace, you know, with tier 2 books, almost with tier 1 books, depending on the day. You know, so like, for me, I almost just want to scratch the whole list and say, buy Ultimate Fallout 4s, low mints. They're freaking disappearing. Buy them all. Like,
yeah, what's crazy is my top 5 are pretty much the same thing. MC1, Fantastic Four 1, ASM 1, UF4 common, UF4 uncommon. I just think they're slam dunks right now, and I think they're going to continue to just outpace most other things until we get a crazy week where we're like, you know, I think we were talking earlier, ASM 50 right now is like crazy undervalued. It's at like $32. So I think we might have a week where that jumps to 60 because people are going to realize like, oh, Kingpin is like the single most important character, maybe like single most important street level character in the Marvel universe. But I think for the most part, we're in the same world. Ray, what did you have?
All right, so I had very, very similar. Marvel Comics 1, Fantastic Four 1, ASM 1, UF4 common, UF4 uncommon. Sorry, nope, that was Sean again, but it's very close to mine. That's why I was reading it. No, that's why I was reading it, because it's so close. Oh, I have FF5 right after, instead of Avengers 8, I've got Fantastic Four 5. And so I will say, if I had to scrap the list, I'm seriously leaning towards Marvel Comics 1 being kind of big. I have a feeling that if you see what happened with McBats, Spider-Man SR, Spider-Man UR, these Grail collectibles completely running away with their own life cycle in the stratosphere of prices, I have a feeling Marvel Comics 1 is going to hit $1,000 probably before we think it's going to hit 1,000. I said end of 2023 when I first ever hopped on the platform. Now we're sitting at $300 pretty sustainably. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens next week, but either way, we're seeing these gains, and I think that book will probably start to run away, especially as the big comic book collectors come in. So that's probably my biggest one. I'm a Fantastic Four 5 guy. I love UF4, and I bought into Sean's. I bought into it, man. I'm there. I've got my low mid UF4 there, but luckily, Fantastic Four 5 seems to have bootstrapped itself to the legs of Ultimate Fallout 4. So it goes. Fantastic Four 5 comes right behind it. So I think that's I think that's a good pick.
I agree.
Oh, one thing we also have to track. I mean, those topics. I think we all agree that these are the big ones. Track like the amount that are being sold. Like the numbers are dwindling, right? So like anything that you see, hey, there was 1,000. That's why the ones that I picked had like a lot more stuff for sale in the marketplace. But once they hit thresholds, like they go under 1,000, they go under 500, they go under 200, they go under 100 or 50. That's when you'll see the spikes, right? So I think as we see, if I look at Marvel Comics 1, there's still 464 in the market. Once this hits like 200 or 100, forget it. Maybe Ray's right. It'll hit 1K by the end of the year, right? So it's possible.
Man, even pressure of dropping below 400 mints available for MC1. I mean, I feel like prices would go to 1K just then. I feel like if 70 went off the market now, it would cause wildfire, and it would reach $500, $600, $700, $800 almost instantly.
Yep.
And again, we haven't seen, like you said, I don't think we've seen the big comic book collectors come in, probably because they're waiting on MTL, which, maybe it's a blessing in disguise. So we have more time to try and pick up books each paycheck, right? I don't know.
I think there was some that came in though, because like this morning, that's why everything shot up. A lot of books like got sold, right? And it went up. So there was some whales probably came in and bought a few, I think. But that's probably still only a small percentage of total whales, right? That's probably, I would guess maybe like 3% of whales came in or something and decided to buy a lot. Imagine if like 10, 20% of whales come in, or institutional shops like come in and buy, then it's gotta be madness, right? These 500, forget it. These Marvel Comics is gonna be down to 100 within like 3 months, I would say. It's my guess.
Yeah, I think what people underestimate is the power of 100 new users who are serious. Like, if you look at any of the marketplace right now for any item under like 500 available listings, and you assume 100 new people who are fans of this enter the marketplace, it causes chaos with those listings. If you just snap 100 listings out of the way. And totally. I think that's what we're finally seeing. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to shorten this a little bit because we've got about 15 minutes left in the show, but we'll just do one of these. So I'll give you the which one you want to talk about, and then you can talk about it. Okay. So if you were to pick between one collectible and another, which one would you pick and why? So you can pick. We can talk about, or you can talk about either Storm versus Voltron, or you can talk about Wonder Woman versus Harley Quinn, or you can talk about C-3PO versus Elsa. Which one of those pairings interests you the most, and which one would you pick? Sean, we'll start with you.
I'm taking, what was it, Storm versus who?
Voltron.
Voltron? Storm versus Voltron?
Storm versus Ultron.
Storm. I'm taking Storm by quite a while.
Oh, you're hurting
ways.
Ray's feelings.
I bet, but the reality is that I realize that China's a huge market, and I realize that robotics are huge on the Eastern Front. But the reality of the world is that Storm is an icon in Black culture. Same thing with Black Panther. Same thing with a handful of other characters like Miles Morales. Like, I think a lot of people are underestimating the cultural significance. Just like with Miles Morales, when I hopped on the platform, why was I able to buy a key for 12 gems when all the other keys of main characters were already at 30, 40, 50 gems? People underestimate cultural significance for other people that they may not be informed about a lot. And I feel like Storm, just a floor commons, a 200 gem item overnight. Just, there's going to be a night where I go to sleep and wake up and look, and common storms will be 200 gems. And I guarantee you, I have no doubts about that whatsoever. And you start minting Wolverine collectibles, you start minting Black Panther collectibles, and have an animated one too, and you want a secret rare Storm next to a secret rare Black Panther, Wakanda statue. Like, I don't think people are understanding how significant Storm is in the scheme of X-Men and culture just in America. Like, she's a huge character. Yeah, enough said on that.
I heard there's a rumor that she might be the next Black Panther too. So
yeah,
correct.
And that.
Correct. All right. So,
and that.
Nothmar, what do you got? Do you want to do Storm v Ultron, Wonder Woman against Harley Quinn, or C-3PO and Elsa? Go for it.
Oh, I would go for C-3PO and Elsa. Sorry, Ray. So, I mean, oh man, actually, this is tough now. I mean, knee-jerk reaction, we're definitely a Star Wars fan, but me, since I have a daughter, I can see the huge impact that Elsa will be as a Disney princess, and she's one of the big ones, right? I have to say, my daughter sang that song, saw that movie probably 100 times when she was younger. She doesn't watch it now though, but when she was younger, she watched it so many times. So as a Disney princess, her power is big. C-3PO is a big one, but he's not who are the big one? He's not Darth Vader, he's not Yoda, right, etc. So maybe surprisingly I'm going to tilt towards Elsa.
Ooh.
So because
nice.
For a culture, it's also, I mean, both of them are big cultural characters, but I mean, Elsa has her own movie. I don't think we've ever seen a C-3PO movie, right?
Fair enough.
Right.
So,
Ray, what do you got? If you had to pick one of those three battles, who would it be, and then who would be the winner?
I'm going with the Elsa battle. I was really kind of hoping Nothmar would take the other position, though, so we could have a little back and forth. But look, I'm going to hop on, and I'm taking Elsa, but this one's actually pretty close for me. I think that if you were to take the market cap of Elsa versus R2 and C-3PO, I think Star Wars blows it out. I think there's just more money in Star Wars in collectors, I think. I mean, sure, there's going to be the dads that want to buy the gift for their daughter, but the amount of money they're going to put into that versus people that really want Star Wars collectibles, I just don't see any competition. The problem with C-3PO is that he is competing with R2-D2. I think if a whale comes in and says, I want the premier Star Wars, they're going to get R2-D2. I mean, I don't think it's close. I would take R2. And so I feel like that almost kind of caps C-3PO at where he can go, whereas Elsa's by herself in Disney Princess Land living a great life. And I do think that she has a lot of significance, like you said, in today's younger children as they grow up. And so I think that Elsa probably wins out, at least in the short term. Maybe in the long term, as things kind of shift and maybe R2 just explodes upwards, then I'll probably reassess. But I think right now I'd take Elsa.
Nice. Yeah, so I guess I'll take that third battle that we didn't address, Wonder Woman against Harley Quinn. So if you would have asked me, and I addressed this on that article I wrote on the website last month, I would have said Harley Quinn because I felt like at the time she had more upside because Batman in general had more upside. But now that Batman has seen its pop, I'm not saying she's reached her ceiling yet. I think she will, but I think she will always be like probably 20% less valuable than that Jim Lee Joker. I just think the Joker is the ceiling for Harley Quinn and will be for forever unless something, crazy happens culturally. However, Wonder Woman now, I think because everyone's gotten all their Batman stuff together, we can now redirect to Wonder Woman, and she's probably going to get the attention she deserves. So if I'm picking right now between a $700, or I think Harley Quinn was like $850 now, which is crazy. But let's just say they're both $800 by tomorrow morning, and I had to pick one, I'd probably go Wonder Woman for $800, just because I think she will probably be capped by Superman, and she'll probably be about 20%. Striking distance of Superman just because of the nature of consumer culture. So that's kind of where I am.
That's a cool way to gauge it, to tie them to their primary character.
Yeah,
that's a cool way to think about gauging the price.
Yeah, that makes sense though.
Yeah.
That said, Harley Quinn's at almost 1,000. So
I know. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's sitting at about 945. So
Man, I'm surprised. I didn't even see Joker break 1,000, so it's 1,200 now. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But that's what I expected. So, I've been expecting it to hit at least 2K, in the next few months, So I'm just surprised that it hit it like.
So quick.
Actually, no. Joker was low for a while, so I was surprised that it was low and cheap for a long time. So it was definitely undervalued. And now
it was sitting at around 350.
Yep.
Around Christmas time, like right before Christmas. And all the Batman stuff was. But I think here's one thing I keep hearing us say. We all keep saying, I knew it was eventually going to get there. I just didn't think it would get there as quickly as it did. And that is something that I keep having to remind myself because we're having these shows and I'm like, oh, that was last week. It wasn't 2 months ago, but it feels like it was 2 months ago because everything is just popping. So we've got 7 minutes left and this is normally our time for our final thoughts. But before we get to those, Ray, you had a question from a viewer. So what was that question?
Yeah, so he sold a What If #1 secret rare comic for $750 plus his other gems brings him somewhere around 800, and ultimately his decision is it's funny. So he likes the Mickey. The Mickey, I guess, is his statue of choice. But you've got the Mickey common, uncommon, Spider-Man common, uncommon, and he can do sub combo in those four. But he wants at least one of the ASMs in one of the Steamboat Mickeys. And he wants to know which you're going for. Are you taking the common Mickey, uncommon Spider-Man, or common Spider-Man? Or are you taking the uncommon Mickey with what combination of Spider-Man? He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to add comics in there. I told him maybe to wait for a Wonder Woman dip, but we're a little bit past that now that it's sitting. Although now it's back down to like 650, so maybe that's an option, and then throw something on top of it.
Oh, it's down to 650.
Yeah, I know. Slight consolidation from the 800 it hit earlier, but that's kind of what he's looking at now, and thoughts on which way y'all would take it.
See,
I
I have an. Oh, go ahead. You want to, Carmen?
Real quick, I would go, because I'm just a nerd for that, ASM uncommon. I would go ASM uncommon, Mickey common, because I think the common is just tragically low. It was like 385 earlier today. I mean, you might be able, on a bad day, you might be able to grab ASM one, ASM common, ASM uncommon, and then the Steamboat if everything on a bad dip. Or I know he doesn't want to go common, but I think you could go Steamboat Willie common, ASM uncommon, and you might have some extra scratch together. You could throw something at something else. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I mean, I hate to be blunt here, but I would definitely go with Spider-Man 2 because it's the first appearance. Mickey is great, but in my perspective, it's not a first appearance. It is a classic, iconic, what do you call this? Mickey, like Steamboat Willie, but because I think it's not a first appearance, it's going to limit its upside.
So you would
It'll
just
still
take
go
two
up.
ASMs.
Yeah, I mean, you can get two ASMs too, but if you really, I mean, I had to get one Steamboat Willie too. I did get one, so I said I can't. I want to have one in my collection, you know. But in terms of value, if we're just purely investing, I would go for the two ASMs.
I would do common for the Mickey for sure, because I think that's going to be what people pick up when they can't get the ultra rare. I think their natural response is going to go to the common, just psychology wise. So I'd grab that, and that would satiate his desire to have a Mickey in his collection, and he'd be like, I have the original, and he'd like that anyways. He'd probably be happy with that. And then I would do what Nothmar does, and I would find out by comparing cost and mintage for the common and uncommon. I would figure out which one has a better line in the sand for like opportunity cost, and I would just go with that one.
Yep. I mean, and just to be frank, I have between common and uncommon Spidey, I have 15, right? And then for my Mickey Steamboat, I have 1. So the 1 is definitely a PC thing, right? So that if it was investment, I would have went hard on Steamboat Willie too. But you know, I went with the investment, right? Investment for Spideys, I went hard, right? So.
And with that said, I also grabbed. I didn't. I'm bigger on the comics. I'm more bullish on the comic end, but on the statue side, I always try to keep up a little bit, and I use everybody's knowledge to make sure that I'm not falling too far behind and make sure I'm grabbing a couple things here and there. And I personally have ASM statues. I do not have a Mickey. So if that says anything, and I'm mostly I copy institutional investors on how I buy stuff. So like if that says anything, then I'm probably matching with Nothmar on that as well.
Yeah, my suggestion was to go with two ASMs because I feel like if you get the common, uncommon, eventually one of them's going to pop, and then you could sell it, get a Steamboat, and then you probably have enough for something else really nice on top of it. Because I'm with y'all. I don't know that Steamboat sees the same pop that a lot of the other ones do. I don't know. I don't see how in the next month we don't see the uncommon and common double. We've seen the rare now go from 650
Here
to
we go
900.
again. Here we go again. You said next month it'll be like that next week.
I know. Which is making me want to go now and look at the common and the uncommon and find the cheapest one and go ahead and pick one up before I have the chance to bite myself in the butt.
I feel like all three of those are going to be above 1K before we know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Mickey thing is weird because of the golden moment stuff and it not being a first appearance. It has that ceiling. I think that's what you have to consider with some of these things. Like, are there other things in the way that make more sense to invest your money in? And I think with ASM, there's nothing in the way. Like you get Spider-Man, as opposed to if you jump with this Steamboat Willie, there's the Mickey hat is in the way, Elsa's in the way. All of the golden moments are arguably in the way. The Walt statue is definitely in the way. So, that's kind of what you're competing with. In the same way that you have the Harley Quinn Joker thing and the Wonder Woman Superman thing. It's unfortunately it's just the nature of the beast. With that being said, anybody have any?
Oh no!
Go
Before
ahead,
you add,
Nakmar.
yeah, that's an interesting comment too that you bring up, and that's gonna stick in my mind now. Is there anything coming into its way for it to have upside? I think that's a good point. But I am even now I am looking to buy like a Steamboat Willie action figure. That's how much I think it's cool. So I am still gonna get one for the PC, a real live one. So I wouldn't invest in it, but it's something that I think would be cool in my collection. Maybe you'll see it on my wall next time.
Nice, nice. Well, we have reached our 1 hour time limit, gentlemen. It's always a pleasure. I love doing this. Anybody
Love
who's
it.
watching this, please, 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 please make sure you make a comment in the comment section so we can get ready for next week. You jump to the website nftmpd.com. It's down there on the little ticker. You join our Facebook group, NFT Marketplace and Dojo. And we will see you all next week. Have a good one, guys. Take it easy.
Later.
Later.
Bye.